Welcome to Don't You Two Read, a podcast where two sisters talk about all things books.
We're just two girls who found ourselves texting about books on a daily basis and thought, why not turn on a mic?
We'll be talking about our recent reads, a weekly bookish topic, and what we're looking forward to reading next.
So grab a cup of coffee and maybe even a snack and be prepared to take down your TBR and add a lot to it as we talk all things books.
I'm Hilary. I'm a mom in Oklahoma, and I am so excited to see Hannah tomorrow.
And I'm Hannah, a stay-at-home mom in Texas who finally bought a printer so I can start selling books on Pango again.
You bought a printer?
Yes!
You haven't had one ever, right?
No, I'm so excited because literally, I told Josh I have like 2 boxes full of books that I want to sell, and I just feel like it makes the most sense to print my own labels
Yeah.
and not have to go to like Office Depot every day. So, yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's how I print out my show notes or like my stuff every day. Like every time I print them out just because I am old school. So,
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna want to print everything. So, yes, Hillary flies to Texas tomorrow. We're so excited, and it was a doozy. It was a doozy, guys. Hannah, got hit by Hurricane Beryl, and yeah, a doozy. We lost power for,
days.
yeah, and we lost like all of our fridge foods, but it's okay. Like in the grand scheme of things, I'm like, well, we didn't lose our house, so that's nice, or our life.
Well,
Um,
I almost lost our airline tickets. I
yeah.
like they they were we were up it was all up in the air. We were not sure if it was even going to happen because the airlines were shut down
Yeah.
and it was just an absolute disaster. But we prayed and somehow Hannah has power.
Yeah, so it all worked out for us. Hillary's coming tomorrow, and yeah, we're pretty excited. I think we're gonna go to a bookshop and we'll see.
Yeah, okay, so on that note, with hurricanes and the craziness, how has your reading week been?
Well, as soon as I saw all the news reports saying you're gonna lose power, like 100% you're gonna lose power, expect to have no power for days. I was like, well, let me charge up my Kindle, which sounds funny, but I like charge up all my devices, obviously, but the Kindle was like, not only did I charge it, I downloaded like a bunch of books to make sure they would be there, which is why I love Kindle because it just, you don't need Wi-Fi. Once you connect and once you download, it's there. So I did all that and I read a whole book literally
Wow.
in the span of Beryl. I stayed up late and then it hit at 3 a.m. and it was, I mean, you're not sleeping. Like it was so loud. So I literally read like the entire night and I finished a whole book. So that was great.
Wow.
Yeah. How was your reading?
Not good. I mean, just with the chaos, like I don't live in Texas, but I mean, Hannah knows that. I don't know if everyone knows that, but I don't live in Texas, so I did not get hit by the hurricane. But with like all our plans, of course, I picked the day to fly like right after the hurricane hit. So it's just been chaos. Like, what are we gonna do? What like are we gonna get to go on the trip? Are we not? Do we need to still go get like the snacks? Do we not? Talking to my work, like I may be there, I may not. Um, so anyway, it was just chaos. So I did not read as much. My focus was just not there this week as much. I told Hannah I've been reading this book and I've loved it. I have nothing bad to say about the book. I've really enjoyed it. It is a slower paced novel, which I would not normally say I like that, but it's been good. But I've just been very, very slowly going through it. So I think I'm on day like 10 of this book, and it's not a big book. It's like 400 pages maybe. So I don't know. My attention span has not been wonderful. I think I finished an audiobook this week, but that's about it. So we'll see. I'm expecting maybe to read a little bit more while I'm in Houston, only because I think when everyone goes to bed, maybe I can read,
Mm-hmm.
by myself in the living room, but I don't know if that will even happen either. So it's okay. I'm just kind of expecting this week to be like a wash.
I was thinking that too. I was like, I wonder if I'm gonna read this week.
Yeah. I hope like we may not read much this week, but Hannah and I were talking about hoping to like film some content of like us going to some bookstores or just doing like book would you rather, just stuff that we can post for the next few months, I think, until Hannah comes up here to visit again. So, anyway, that's it. So, that's the update on us. So, I know we got a little bit distracted, but this is episode 6 of season 1, and welcome. Today in the episode, we will be sharing about books that we loved that others don't, and later we will talk about our short list. But before that, Hannah, what's your first book that you want to talk about?
So, for my first pick this week, I'm going with a book that feels like cotton candy on a hot summer day. This is a super summery book with a Hallmark movie feeling. This book is Lucy Loves Him Not by Rebecca Jo Jackson. Lucy Rhodes finished the school year as a kindergarten teacher, and she's excited to get started on her decade-long tradition of running the Sweet River Summer Festival, a tradition started by her grandmother, but for the past few years, Lucy has carried it on herself in honor of her beloved memory. But this summer, the new city manager, Adam, throws a major wrench in Lucy's tradition and seems set on ruining her perfectly set plans. After a meat disaster and the drawing up of an extensive contract, Adam and Lucy decide to work together on the festival, even if it might drive her crazy. While working together, they realize the Texas summer heat isn't the only thing that's heating up. Adam's looking for a place or a person to call home, and Lucy's big heart has room to spare. Okay, so yes, this book is set in Texas, and I believe that the festival that they are setting up is the weekend after the 4th of July. So I felt like this book is like the perfect summer setting. The cover is what convinced me to give this author a try. It came up on Instagram, and I'm so happy I did give it a try because I really enjoyed this book. It's a romance, but it was a lot more than just a romance because there were a lot of family dynamics throughout the book, a lot of focus on the family relationship. Lucy is very close to her sisters and her mom, and I really liked seeing their relationship and their interactions together. This book also has a lot of self discovery and found community in the themes, which I loved to see. The romance is very, very slow burn, so I would keep that in mind. But I do love a slow burn, so I did enjoy this book and the romance in it. For those who are familiar with Kathleen Kelly from You've Got Mail, I strongly feel that Lucy was based off of that character. They have the same energy, and I did catch some You've Got Mail Easter eggs sprinkled throughout the book. As far as Adam is concerned, he was lovely. He loves books, Harry Potter, and he cooks. Could you ask for more? If you enjoy an enemies to lovers, slow burn romance with found family, a summer festival, and a sugary sweet Hallmark feeling book, all in a closed door romance, pick this one up. And that's Lucy Loves Him Not by Rebecca Jo Jackson.
Um, Fun fact about me, I like my catnip for books. One of them is amusement parks. So I feel like I need to add this to my list. I love all type of amusement park books. If you remember, I read that Wretched Water Park, which is like a bad
Yes.
amusement park, but I love an amusement park or carnival setting. I think
Yeah,
that's so fun.
it is. It's like, yeah, carnivals, festival. It's really cute. And it's a very small town. So it
Like
has
Stars Hollow
totally,
festivals. Yeah.
it very much felt like Stars Hollow. Very cute. All right. What's your first book, Hillary?
Okay, my first book is The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. I wanted to talk about this book in particular because it's a book that I changed my mind about. A couple years ago, I read this book for the first time and I thought it was fine, but nothing life-changing. It was very, very hyped by some people I knew, and now I wonder why I didn't love it. Like, I wonder if I'm just that rebellious and refuse to love a book with so much hype. I'm not sure. I was texting Hannah about this. Like, I don't know what it is about me that when someone's like, try it, try it, try it, try it. I'm like instantly skeptical, but I didn't dislike it. It just was okay. But fast forward years later, this book kept popping into my mind, and I have no idea why. I kept thinking about it. What were the characters up to? What happened after the first book? Especially because we're in the thick of summer, I thought a change of scenery felt nice. So I decided to revisit this book, and I'm so glad I did. Here's what it's about. Calla Fletcher is having the worst day ever. She started by getting laid off at her bank job and ended the day receiving a call saying that her estranged father is terminally ill and she needs to come see him. She hasn't seen Wren Fletcher in decades, and they don't speak anymore, ever. Wren is an Alaskan pilot, and he chose his business over his family years ago. Calla feels torn but decides to give it 1 week to see her dad and possibly make amends. There, Calla is in the shock. Hang on. There, Calla is in for the shock of her life. Bangor, Alaska is a rural town. We're talking deep snow, bears, and no coffee shops. When she meets grumpy pilot Jonah, she is ready to go home. This book is full of family drama, forgiveness, love, and a pinch of adventure. Calla is kind of insufferable at the start, and I think that's part of the reason why I struggled the first time with the story. But she does have an arc. We do see change and growth in her as the story progresses. We're talking about her dad being sick, so there is that sad element in this book. It's definitely an emotional book, but that's only one portion to the story. It's much more than that. Also, it doesn't sit there in the sadness. It doesn't try to manipulate you into being sad like some books do. I'm not sure why, but this book hit me in the best ways the second time. That's The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. Oh, I wanted to say, as far as spice, I really struggle with sharing about spice because I don't know. I never know like how to rate things. There's no like clear definition. I think this one, if I remember correctly, is open door, but it's one scene and maybe like a couple pages. So I was able to skip it really easily. It was no big deal. And then you move on with the story. So it was it wasn't I don't know how you want to rate that, but that's what it was.
Is this one of many? Like it's like a whole series?
Yeah, I didn't know much about it, but yes, there are two. It's like a duology in it, and there is a Christmas novella that goes with those two. Um, and I looked, the novella is like 150 pages, and I was like, I know I said I hate novellas last week, but I feel like I want to, continue on in this world.
So are you gonna read book two?
Yeah, that's the book. I'm already like almost done with book two.
Oh, okay. And then there's what else?
And then, but there's book three in the series, but that's with a different character, like in that town.
I've heard so many mixed things. I bought the whole series
Oh,
like
really?
well, I'm like just wait. So I bought the whole series like with a gift card or something years ago. And it sat on my shelf that whole time. And then I got rid of them because I was like, clearly I have no interest in reading this. And I don't know why. I think because I had started seeing so many people say, it's sad, I cried. And at that time, I've changed, but like at that time, I was like, no, I don't want anything to do with sad crying and none of that.
I mean, like her dad, we know that like at the that's why I wanted to make sure I said that. Like we know at the very start her dad is sick. Like her dad has a
Yes.
bad diagnosis. So that's the reason why she goes to Alaska in the first place. But I will say like so that part is sad, but it's not like the main focus. I think the main focus is like her going from this city to this country and trying to see like why she's kind of judgy about these people and why she's like, uptight. But the dad part is an element. So I would specifically say like parent sickness, if that bothers you, I would just skip it. But
Yeah.
I don't feel like they like drag anything out, if that makes sense. This is not like that. I think you might be okay with it. I think you just have to be in the right mood because it's not a rom-com. It's not like
Yeah.
a but there are funny elements to it. So it's just a mixed
Hmm.
bag.
Okay.
All right, what's your second book?
Okay, my second book, I'm bringing another favorite this week. The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Holton is an all-time favorite for me. I have read it 3 times, and when I picked it up for this week, Joshua saw and he was like, "Oh, yes, I remember all about this book and how it's your favorite book ever." And he's not wrong. So let's just get into it. A prim and proper lady thief must save her aunt from a crazed pirate and his dangerously charming henchman in this fantastical historical romance. Cecilia Bassingthwaighte is the ideal Victorian lady. She's also a thief. Like the other members of the Wisteria Society, she flies around England drinking tea, blackmailing friends, and acquiring treasure by interesting means. Sure, she has a dark and traumatic past and an overbearing aunt, but all things considered, it's a pleasant existence until the men show up. Ned Lightbourne is a sometimes assassin who is smitten with Cecilia from the moment they meet. Unfortunately, that happens to be while he's under direct orders to kill her. His employer intends to rid England of all its presumptuous women, starting with the Wisteria Society. Ned has plans of his own, but both Ned and his employer have made one grave mistake. Never underestimate a woman. Okay, first of all, if this sounds like a wild ride, it really is. There are flying houses and completely unhinged characters. This one falls into a fantasy type of book or maybe a magical realism, but definitely go into it knowing it will likely be a book unlike anything that you've ever read before. It has amazing humor and satire, and I remember when Hillary read this, she was like, "What is going on? There are people flying houses." Like, she thought it was just so bizarre. So, I do think you should go into it knowing it's odd, but it is definitely out there. But that's what made it so fun to me. And something interesting about this book and the author of this book is that India Holton has said that she tells stories in her neurodivergent voice, being a woman with autism, and all of her books feature different representations of neurodivergent characters. But for this book, she said that she specifically included personification of objects and feelings and frequently breaking the fourth wall. And she said that she used these elements in this book to appeal to herself as an autistic reader. She also said that the very proper lady pirates in this book express a neurodivergent experience with society. So I just thought that was interesting. There are neurodivergent characters, like I said, and while the characteristics are not, they're not explicitly said in the story. So if you read it, you would probably not even notice because she doesn't explicitly say that. But she said that she kept it not blatantly said because she wanted it to be consistent with the historical time period where some of these neurodivergent characteristics were not well known or researched at that time, or they were not named at that time. So she doesn't explicitly mention any of them, if that makes sense. But those are just some of the behind the scenes elements that I did love to hear about. This book has free spirit ladies, flying houses, and a big bad villain out to destroy the world. It's whimsical and a guaranteed great time. It is open door. It's low spice, in my opinion. It was easy to skip if you want to skip. If you enjoy eccentric historical fantasy rom-coms about unconventional women and charming rogues, pick this one up, and that's The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Holton.
Yeah, I read this one a while ago. I did like it. I think if I could describe it in one word, I would say it's kooky. Like I thought it was good, but okay, stay with me. I think not the plot, nothing like that. But I think the vibes of this book, it reminds me of the movie, the 1980s movie Clue. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like it's like
Like
very like
the humor,
yeah, like it's
I
very
could see that.
and then we're running to the next room, and this is what
Yeah.
happened, and they're all like just running with him, and you know what I mean?
Yes,
It's just
yes.
kind of like that, like very dramatic, very like over the top. And then I said it was him. It's
Yeah,
just very like almost theatrical.
for
So
sure. Yes.
if you like, I think if you like that vibe of movie and stuff, I think you would like this.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I'm like, I don't even know like other books that have I've never read other books that are similar to this. So I'm like, it's not even like I can be like, well, if you liked this book, try this. I'm like, it's so out there, but I'm like, you just need to try it and then
I think if you like Clue and you like Evie Dunmore, like,
yeah.
and you like made a baby, it would be this book.
It's all of them are amazing. That's the first one. She has three in that series, and then she has another book that's coming out like in July. So anyway, that's all. That's my book two. Hillary, what's your book two? What's your second book?
Okay, my second book is Fireborne by Rosaria Munda. I think the Goodreads setup of this does a really good job because it is YA and it's fantasy, so this is what the Goodreads summary says. Annie and Lee were just children when a brutal revolution changed their world, giving everyone, even the lowborn, a chance to test into the governing class of dragon riders. Now they are both rising stars in the new regime, despite backgrounds that couldn't be more different. Annie's lowborn family was executed by dragonfire, while Lee's aristocratic family was murdered by revolutionaries. Growing up in the same orphanage forged their friendship, and 7 years of training have made their rivals for the top position in the dragon riding fleet. But everything changes when survivors from the old regime surface, bent on reclaiming the city. With war on the horizon and his relationship with Annie changing fast, Lee must choose to kill the only family he has left or to betray everything he's come to believe in. And Annie must decide whether to protect the boy she loves or to step up to be the champion her city needs. So I'll stop you right there before you get excited because I think that setup sounds really cool and really fun. Like it sounded so good to me. And I heard someone in my brief moment of searching on YouTube, I was like, books like Fourth Wing, I don't know, something like, or like fantasy without spice. I like went down this deep dive, and this was one that I heard someone rave about, and she was like, "This is like Fourth Wing, but it is better." And I read it. I'm like, "That sounds amazing." I bought it like that minute on Amazon and had it shipped to my house, and it came like the next day, and I started it. Oh my God! And so that's what I get for being excited. So this book, it had, I was told, and like the description kind of says, this has enemies to lovers, dragons, political unrest, and those check all my boxes. I'm like, yes, those are all things I want. But unfortunately, this book was not a hit for me. All the elements were there, but I was so bored the entire book. Like it felt so slow paced that I never wanted to pick it up. And every time I thought I need to read it, I'm like, I don't want to. And I didn't really even care very much either way what happened. I didn't like any of the characters, but I didn't really dislike any of them. And using the term romance here is a huge stretch. I think that was just added on just because romantasy is trendy right now. And I think sometimes people just put enemies to lovers on their book and I don't know. I just think it's a trendy thing, so they just say it and I don't know. Like
Mm.
even that description said things are changing so fast with Annie. No, they did not change so fast. I mean, I read like almost 400 pages and I'm like nothing's happened. Nothing's changed. Nothing. Like this is nonsense. I'm sorry. Just take that out. I'm like this is getting rude. The last 100 pages or so picked up in pace slightly, but it felt too late for me. This is a trilogy, but I don't plan to pick up any more. So I will say, if you don't like if you read Fourth Wing and you're like, I don't like it. I don't like the frothiness, if that makes sense. Like you don't go very deep in Fourth Wing. Like it's very quick, plot driven. You don't really get too deep into anything
Yeah.
much. If you didn't like that part of Fourth Wing and you don't mind a slow-paced, character-driven novel, you might want to check this one out. If you do, let me know. Because I do think it is really popular and it does have good ratings. It just wasn't what I was looking for, like action-packed
Hmm.
adventure, and this was more like um internal dialogue or monologue,
Mm,
I guess. A lot of internal thoughts and not a lot actually happening in the real world. So,
mm.
anyway, that's Fireborne by Rosaria Munda.
Yeah, I've heard, like, I've seen that on Instagram so much to read it after Fourth Wing. So that's funny.
It was crazy because this was written before Fourth Wing, and I remember when I got it, I was texting Hannah like, "Oh my gosh, Hannah, this is a like a war college. There's dragons. There's like a guy and a girl that are like, from different political sides." And I was like, "Oh, this is like Fourth Wing." So I was so excited, and then I'm like, what? I mean, I don't, nothing's happened. All right, Hannah, what's your next book?
Okay, I'm finishing my books today with a creepy one. I'm probably shocking some of you guys with this one. The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I read this one for book club a few months ago, and I told my book club friends that if it ended up being too scary, I would DNF. Because as y'all know, I don't love to get scared. So let's dive into it. At 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope, stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. It wasn't me, Lenora said, but she's the only one not dead. In 1929, the Hope family murders shocked the Maine coast one bloody night. While most people assume 17-year-old Lenora was responsible, the police were never able to prove it. Other than her denial after the killing, she has never spoken publicly about that night, nor has she set foot outside the cliffside mansion where the massacre occurred. It's now 1983, and home health aide Kit arrives at a decaying mansion to care for Lenora after her previous nurse fled in the middle of the night. In her 70s and confined to a wheelchair, Lenora was rendered mute by a series of strokes and can only communicate with Kit by tapping out sentences on an old typewriter. One night, Lenora uses it to type a message to Kit saying, "I want to tell you everything." As Kit helps Lenora write about the events leading to the Hope family massacre, it becomes clear there's more to the tale than people know. But with each new detail that comes to light, Kit starts to suspect that this seemingly harmless woman in her care could be far more dangerous than she thought. Okay, so if you're wondering how a rom-com lover felt about this eerie book, I'm here to say that I really enjoyed this one. There were a few moments that did feel creepy for sure, but I still couldn't resist reading this one even at night. It's creepy at some moments, it's twisty, but this won't give you nightmares. At least it didn't for me. There's a dual timeline which keeps you turning the pages, and as you fly through this book, you'll be suspicious of everyone and questioning everything. I will say that the ending did feel far-fetched, a little bit unhinged, but when I'm reading a thriller, most of them seem to go in that direction for me personally, so I don't really consider it as a negative thing for me in this genre. I don't really have anything else negative to say about this one. I think it's perfect for a nice fall day or even a rainy summer day since I know it's not quite spooky season yet. But either way, if you're looking for a gothic chiller with a Lizzie Borden type of massacre plotline, pick this one up. And that's The Only One Left by Riley Sager.
As soon as you said spooky season, my head popped up. I'm like, spooky
Yeah.
season, I'm ready.
You've read this one, right?
Yeah, I liked it. I think I read it like in a day, maybe, or 2 days. It was pretty quick. His books are kind of crazy, but like you always get a bunch of twists, but they're so entertaining.
I've never read his other books, but a lot of people at book club said that they are very similar to this one. I don't know if that's true, but I was like, maybe I would like his other books because I liked this one. So,
I've read another one and I think it was paranormal. So I don't
oh,
feel like you would like that.
I,
I
I
don't know. I've only read I think two by him. So I don't. Oh, and then Heather, who's our sister, she read, I can't remember the name of it, one of them, and she was telling us all about it and it was unhinged.
she hated it.
Yeah.
Yes, and I did whenever I told my book club, I said, if this is paranormal, I'm out. Like I don't do paranormal. That's my line, like my strict hard line. No, I don't want to do no ghosties. So anyway, that's my third one. Okay, Hillary, let's get into your last book.
Okay, my last book is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jesse Q. Sutanto. Okay, we're ending on a high note. Here's what the book is about. Vera Wong is an elderly widowed Chinese lady who owns a tiny tea shop. She lives a simple life and has little to live for now that her husband is gone and her son Tilly has moved out on his own. One day she comes to her tea shop and finds a dead body inside. What does she do? She calls the police, of course, but not before she helps them out by outlining the body with chalk. And she can't let them see her messy room, so she makes sure to clean up the tea room and scrubs everything down before the police arrive. The police say the death is from natural causes, but Vera is convinced that they got it wrong. So she sets off to crack the case on her own. She makes new friends and possibly enemies along the way. Can she solve the case before her tea shop is ruined for good? If you enjoy cozy mysteries, you will love this. There's a little bit of silliness, but it isn't outrageous. It's supposed to be like lighthearted, like murder, but lighthearted murder. The Asian culture in this book is so much fun. Vera was so likable, even though she was naive at times. This book is like a warm bowl of ramen on a rainy day. I rarely say this, but I think the audio was so good. And if you can do it that way, you definitely should. That's Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jesse Q. Sutanto. I think you should listen to this one. I don't know if you'd like it or get frustrated by it.
I was gonna ask you if this book is similar to Dial A for Aunties, and then I saw it's the same author. So, also I was thinking Finley Donovan. Do you feel like it's similar to those?
No, okay, so Dial A for Aunties. It's hard for me to remember that book. I read it so long ago, but I did like it. But I think both Finley and that one, they have more antics than this one. So like the antics are just like Vera, she's like so kind-hearted and she just like wants to help the police, but then she does that by like tampering with the evidence and she does that by like she's like I can't look like this. I need to clean up. And they're like, "Yeah, you wiped everything down." And she's like, "I know not to touch the body though." And so that it's just kind of like silly with that kind of stuff, but she's not actually like committing the crimes and she's not
Mm,
like where I think like Finley and Dial A for Aunties, that's how it was. Like you're like
yeah.
committing a crime, then you have to cover up, and then you have to do this, and you're dragging the body here. And I liked all those books. Let me just be clear with that. But I don't think Vera, like, she's not really up to any antics. She's just like, I'm gonna solve this mystery, which is what I said I love. Like, even if it doesn't have to be a police officer or a detective, it could be like Vera, who is like, she has like her, and then they go back and forth with like the perspectives of different people. And then it goes back to Vera's notebook. And she's like, it cannot be so and so because a murderer would never do this, and she like crossing them off the list and of her suspects. And she's like so blunt. It's funny because she'll be like, all right, you sit down and you sit down. Did either of you kill them? And they're like, what? But, so I liked it.
You liked the audio?
Yeah, I would recommend putting it because it's like an Asian lady that does it. And so she's able to really do like the accent and then just the names of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's able to pronounce it better. So I liked it. I think you would like enjoy this one. Again, just go into it with the mind of like the mindset of a cozy mystery. So you like those too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you'd like it. And there's a number two coming. So anyway, I really enjoyed it. It was very lighthearted and I it was a hit for me. And I want to say though, they say they have the picture of this lady like with like fluffy white hair, like old lady. Have you seen the cover?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really cute, but they're talking about this lady like she's old. And then you read the book and she's 60,
Hmm.
which is like
Interesting.
almost our mom's age.
You're like, I thought she was like 80.
Yeah, no, the way they talk about it, you're like she's
She
80 or
looks,
90.
yeah, in the picture, in the cover, she does look like
Yeah, but they talk about
Grand.
her like she's old, old, old. Like
Oh
she's like, why
no.
even live anymore? And then you read, you're like, she's 60. I'm like, oh
That
my
sounds
gosh.
like mom.
Yeah.
God bless. We love you, mom.
If you're listening, Mom, you have a reason to live.
Cut it out.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about our topic of the week. So we said we would do unpopular opinions, but in a positive way. I think, did Josh have this idea? I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we decided to base this off of Goodreads, like reviews and ratings. So, I just listed mine out and then put the Goodreads rating by it. So anyway, we'll see how this works out. But do you want to start us out?
Yeah, so this segment is awesome because I think it's a good reminder for all of us that just because you see a low rating for a book on Goodreads, you may actually love it and it may end up being a favorite for you. So take reviews and ratings, take them in, but always read what sounds interesting to you, even if reviews may not be glowing. It might be worth giving it a try. So all of these on my list are 5 stars for me. The way that I have my list set up is I'll say the book, I'll say the average rating on Goodreads, and then I'll quickly say why I loved it or who might like it. So for the first one, it's going to be quick. Wisteria Society, the book that I talked about today in my recent reads, that one has an average rating of 3.67. And when me and Hillary were looking up lower rated books, it's hard. Like the ones that we loved, like they didn't go down to like 2 stars or 1 stars, like as an average. So just keep that in mind. When we say low ratings, it's just lower than 4, basically, as an average. So I clearly loved it. I already gave you all the reasons why, but yeah, not the best rating average on there.
Yeah, that is surprising. Yeah, I will say, like Hannah said, we kind of based ours for like we were looking for under 4 stars on Goodreads. That's kind of like what we were looking for. My first one was Kill Show by Daniel Sweren-Becker. And on Goodreads, it is rated 3.79. And again, I rated all of these 5 stars. This book is like a documentary type style, a documentary about someone that is missing. And then it's like, I think if I remember correctly, like multimedia format.
Mhm.
Um, I I really enjoyed this, and it was a shorter book, I think, and I don't know, and I was surprised when I saw the rating, but I thought this was really a good, like, if you like true crime podcasts or like Netflix specials and stuff like that, um, I thought this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really liked that one too, and it was a quick read. I loved it. My second pick is A Pho Love Story by Loanne Lee.
Oh, I love this book.
The average rating on Goodreads for this is 3.67. And
Really?
yeah, and I loved it. I thought it was a lovely YA romance. It's about two Vietnamese American teens who fall in love, and they must navigate their newfound relationship amid their family's age-old feud about their competing neighboring restaurants. It's wholesome, it's cute, it's very age appropriate for YA. So yeah, I loved it. Very feel good romance.
I loved that book. Loved. Like I would buy that book to keep at the house. It was so good. That's surprising to me. Okay. My next book is okay, so I'm gonna justify why I put this here. It's Meet You in the Middle by Devon Daniels. The Goodreads rating is 3.9, so it's not that low. But I want to say, like, if you look at the reviews on this, I mean, they are vile. Like they are so hateful. Like more than any book I think I've seen in a long time. Like people are so mean. This is a and like true enemies to lovers. I think it is like one of my all-time favorites. Like true enemies to lovers because like they're working in Washington D.C. and we have one Republican and one Democrat and they're like really like each other, but they both work in DC for like political rivals, and they're like, how on earth are we going to make this work? And it's really interesting. Like, and they go into all the issues that they disagree about. And I loved it because I thought they really did I thought the author did a great job of showing like, yeah, like a lot of times we do want the same thing. We just want to go about it in a different way. Like we do have common ground with each other. And I loved it. I was just like, it was a huge hit for me. But people were just like, absolutely not. You are a bigot. You are this. Like, if you can ever date a Republican, you are like the worst type of human and you should go die. Like, crazy, crazy talk. And I don't know. I'm like, well, this is exactly what the book was talking about. So you're just jokes on you. So anyway, I love that book.
I did too. I I recommended that book to my book club, and I feel like I know for sure one or two read it and said that they really liked it too. I was like, it's good. Like if you are gonna convince me to read a political romance, it's hard because I hesitate. But this one, it was really good, and I also was obsessed with it. Okay, my next one is Never Fall for Your Fiance by Virginia Heath. This book has an average rating of 3.56. I love this one because it is a Regency romance with humor. It has an easy to read way about it. I love to recommend this one to anyone who wants to try a Regency or historical romance, but you feel intimidated. This is the perfect place to start because it has a modern feeling to it that just makes it easy to read, which I love.
Okay, my next one is very low. It is The Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell.
That's mine too.
You have
That's
it?
my next one too.
Okay. It's 3.49. I don't I okay, I didn't read through, not gonna lie. I don't know why. I have no idea why it's low. I loved it. It was Great British Bake Off meets like Clue, right?
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was perfect. Like I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it, and then I saw it was so low. I'm like, I don't know. I'm so curious.
My notes say, I can't figure out why this is rated so low. I really loved it. There's baking, there's murder mystery. It's literally the Great British Baking Show meets Clue. It's cozy and it's perfect for a rainy day. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand like who I need to go look and see.
I know that's what I was pulling up right now.
They say that there's no intrigue or suspense. I don't think it was supposed to. I feel like it's a cozy mystery. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, so this one it's a cozy mystery. And I think that that's what you should expect going into it. I loved it. Hilary loved it. Just, if it sounds like something you like, go give it a try. My last one is I Hated You First by Rachel John. This one has an average rating of 3.5, and I read this one and I loved it. I thought it was a great closed door romance. It was sweet. It had coworkers, she hates him, and brother's best friend, which I love, all of those things. There were family dynamics. That reminded me of While You Were Sleeping, which is always a win for me. That's like one of my favorite movies in the world. I would not say this is a deep or serious romance. It's very much light and fluffy. But if you're looking for that, I do think you'd enjoy it. I don't know why. I think from what I skimmed on the low reviews, a lot of people said that it was short. Um, like it was just page-wise very short for the story and they felt like it went too fast. I don't know. I didn't feel that way. I liked it a lot. And it was funny too. So, that was my last one for the list. What's your last one, Hillary?
Oh, I have two.
Oh, okay. What are your last two?
Okay, so my fourth one is Grave Reservations by Cherry Priest. You haven't read this one, right?
I've never heard of this.
Okay, maybe I should bring this to the show. But I will just tell you, it's like another like mystery. It's not cozy, but it's another like light-hearted mystery. It's set in the Pacific Northwest. It's about a retired, I believe, like detective, and he is working with um like I think she's a psychic, is she a psychic? Something like that. Some type of thing. And I think she's a psychic and he's a retired detective. And there is like the most unlikely pair. It's not a romance. It's not, it's just they're solving mysteries together. And it just cracked me up the whole time. I just really enjoyed it. And I don't know, I really liked it a lot. Oh, it was about the psychic works as a travel agent.
Mm.
I think Tyler Braun talked about this on Hannah.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I now know what you're talking
I
about.
have not talked about this well. It's like mumbo jumbo. But
Yes, I have heard of
I
the
will
book.
I think I will bring this to the show and I will do a better job of describing it. But it's 3.58 on Goodreads and I loved it. And I there's a book two. I love that one. I don't know if there's going to be a book three because none of them were rated very high and it makes me
Mm.
sad, but I liked them both. Okay.
Mm.
And then my last one is The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg. This one is um another one I should bring, but it was rated 3.79 on Goodreads. And this one is like Disney World meets like robots. So they have like this Disney, not Disney princess, and they're all like robots and they're programmed to like entertain and be like provide the best experience for people in the park, and that's all they do. And she's like a princess and they're just programmed to do everything by the book. And then one day she starts to have feelings and she's like, I don't know what I feel like. Am I supposed to do what I'm told to do and what I'm programmed to do? Or is there more for me than whatever I've been programmed to do? It sounds really weird. And that's probably why it has a lower rating. But I like I said though, amusement parks are like my jam. So
Mm. I need to, that sounds interesting. And yeah, I do feel like that, like the one I talked about today, and then also the one I talked about last week, where I'm like, it's so strange. Like, I don't know, guys. Like, I love books like that. And then talking about them, I'm like, I feel weird even like recommending this to people because they're like, what are you reading, Hannah?
I left a part out. I forgot. This robot princess thing. She starts to feel all these feelings, but then she is one day accused of murder and she is like, "Oh my gosh, I did not kill this person. I need to solve it." So obviously that's like my common theme about I think all these but almost all of them are like solving a murder.
What is the genre?
I don't know. Sci-fi?
Yeah, okay, that
Sci-fi
makes sense.
maybe? But I don't know.
Mm.
I just loved it. And I keep looking like, has this person written anything else, anything new? And I don't think so. It's just, I don't, it just, I really liked it. So
Hmm.
yeah. And that's it. That's all I have. Okay. So now let's talk about the short list. What is coming up for you?
Okay, so once again, Instagram algorithm has brought me a book, The Heart of the Sea by Mariah Chavis. It's a pirate fantasy romance, enemies to lovers, found family, he falls first, good versus evil, closed door. Those were the little, tropes she mentioned on her little post. I did buy this one. I bought the ebook for $1, which feels like a steal because it's not on Kindle Unlimited. And I commented that her book sounded really interesting, and she commented back and said, it's on sale right now for $1. So I was like, okay, you got me. So $1. I'll be checking this one out very soon and I'll be reporting back because I'm excited. I mean, I say I love pirate fantasy. I've read one, but I'm like, I want more. So I'm excited about this one. What's on your short list?
Okay. I feel conflicted because my book is Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Menescalco. Okay, well, it's our book club pick for the book club I'm in, so that's why it is large. It is over 600 pages. I don't really know much about it, I'm gonna be honest. I obviously added it to my TBR at some point for a reason, but I don't know. But that's why it is on my list. Okay, I want to say about this book, I have no idea what it's about. I have no idea what the content is. I'm concerned based as I was talking to Hannah, I was reading her some of the comments. So if you want to go see that, you can also. But I can't read them on here because we would get flagged. But I am scared and I'm concerned. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. This was on my list and now I'm like, but okay, this lady also wrote Stalking Jack the Ripper. Did you read
Mm,
that?
no, but I have
I
heard of it.
I liked that one, but that was YA. I think she's just torn that off of her label.
Torn it off like all the clothing. I'm done.
Yeah. Well,
Cut the
look, I
show.
didn't know this. The series is called Princes of Sin. I don't know. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no. Oh
I'm sorry.
boy.
Okay, I just want to say if this turns out to be just unhinged, I'll just DNF. But anyway, whatever.
Did
I'm
you pick
sorry,
it?
guys. No,
Oh. So this is like a short list of obligation, which sometimes does happen, guys. Like arcs or yeah, book club picks.
I don't know. Someone can tell me if they like. I have no idea. I'm just scared. I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna put my book club pick, and then I'm reading it. I'm like, I feel like I'm leading people into no man's land. So I don't
The
know.
into the Prince of Sin.
Yeah, if you like Princes of Sin, you might like this one. So on that note, I think that's it for now, and we'll call it a wrap. If you've made it this far and didn't add this episode to your DNF pile, thanks a bunch.
That brings us to the end of this week's episode for the Don't You Two Read podcast. We hope you enjoyed hearing about our recently read books and hopefully getting to know us better as we begin this podcast journey with you guys.
We will be including timestamps in the description on every episode so you can check there for books or products that we mentioned in today's episode.
Be sure to tune in to our next episode when we will be chatting about all things books. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Don't You Two Read Podcast, and you can find me at Hannah Reads.
And I'm at Hilary Reads. If you enjoyed today's episode, would you take a moment to follow us? You can also rate and review us wherever you listen. And as always, please share this with all of your bookish friends.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Until next time, we hope you have a magical week filled with 5-star reads.